So, for our questions that are at the end of the reading, we have our first question here. Why did things look much the way they had in the bedroom? We could say because he set up an entire living room, bedroom set in his front yard. He's saying things look much the same. There's the nightstand, all the furniture is there. But then we get that part focus of the her side. So you could say, things looked much the way they had in the bedroom because everything was in the same place, just in the man's front yard. And then when it says the his side, her side, obviously we could say this indicates that the man either has a wife or had a wife that is absent from the story. We can assume something may have happened to her. Um, I think the candy striped sheets are something that could be symbolic. We might say um, candy stripers. Candy stripers were volunteers in hospitals that had a signature uniform. And you could also say to this day, babies are sent home with candy stripe blankets. So this can signify that the wife may have been in a hospice situation. If that were true, then she passed on while being cared for in the home. So now, in what ways could we interpret the extension cord as a metaphor? So you have the extension cord here. He had run the extension cord on out there and everything was connected. Things worked, no different from how it was when they were inside. We could maybe say, I might quote that there, and this is all up to your interpretation. Keep in mind, however you guys want to interpret it. But I might say maybe it symbolizes like a death. So you could say like the extension cord could symbolize or could be a metaphor for what happens to those left behind after a loved one passes. You could say, like, his wife has possibly died, thus going to the other side. That's kind of the saying people say. His wife has possibly died, thus going to the other side. But his life is continuing exactly as it had before. And then we could say the only thing that is different is his attachment to the furniture he shared with his wife. You could say the extension cord is some type of attachment and then leading out to the yard, and now he's letting go. Um, if the extension cord is a metaphor for death, then the man's yard sale would be a way to cope or grieve. But like I said, this is an interpretation because it's all up to us. So whatever you think, you can interpret it by giving some evidence from text. Why doesn't anyone stop? And why wouldn't he stop either? Well, we don't really know. We have here now and then a car slowed, no one stopped. It occurred to him that he wouldn't either. What could this mean? We could say clearly the yard sale has some metaphorical meaning for the man, right? Because why would he stop at the yard sale? It's his house. So that doesn't make sense. we could say it is possible people are not stopping because they know what happened at the house, whether it was a natural death or an accident. Neighbors might be leery to purchase furniture that someone may have died on. I mean, why? I'm making an interpretation. You can interpret it how you want. Maybe everyone thinks she's a weirdo. Maybe it's just not a crowded, populated area. We don't really know. Maybe he cheated on his wife and his wife left him. So now nobody wants to support him. Or maybe his wife cheated on him. And then everyone feels really sad for him and they don't really want to, like, go buy his furniture. We don't really know. But the other part of that metaphor, um, we could say, furniture that someone had died on. The fact that the man isn't going to stop shows that he is thinking beyond the yard sale. It wouldn't make any sense for him to stop at his own yard sale. So clearly, he is thinking about his life moving forward. There we go. And then you could say Carver writes, it occurred to him that he wouldn't either. This shows that he is going to continue his life without the furniture. I don't know, something along those lines. We're just interpreting the story however we think. A girl and a boy. What's the contrast between them and the man? Well, there's two of them, and then they're called boy and girl. Throughout the story, Carver will only reference the boy and the girl. The boy and the girl with in pronoun. So throughout the story, Carver will only reference the boy and the girl as such. Whereas he refers to the first character as the man. It is clear that Carver is attempting to point out the difference in the characters' ages. And he says it over and over again. It is clear that Carver, there we go. And whereas, one word. What kind of furniture did the boy and the girl look for? What does this indicate? They're looking for furniture for their home. Desks, bed. We could say the boy and the girl are searching for furnishings for their new apartment. This can indicate that they are recently engaged, or, well, this can indicate that they are either married or have been dating long enough to move in together. And I guess that's up to them, right? We don't know. We don't really know. They don't really imply that they're married. He doesn't call them husband and wife. So we might even say here, I would probably say the narrator does not refer to them as husband and wife, which can indicate that they are a young couple that is moving in together for the first time. It doesn't say if they're married, it doesn't say if they're not. How would you describe the boy? Okay, these would be stereotypes of the gender. So the boy is definitely, and I'm being judgmental because when you are characterizing in a story, you can be as judgmental as you want. We can say that the boy might be a little more timid than the girl. Well, he's smoking and he threw a cigarette. He flipped his match onto the grass. You could say that's kind of disrespectful to do in somebody's lawn. All right, I'll put that there. I'm going to take this quote. You could say, the boy can be described as somewhat disrespectful because, and then I'll quote here, and I might say, it is rather rude to throw garbage in a stranger's lawn. And then you have him, he looked around. The house was dark. I feel funny. Okay, so the girl wants the boy to fool around on the bed, but the boy expresses awkwardness regarding that. Readers can characterize the boy as more timid and reserved than the girl. We can say that. And then for the girl, now the girl's she's asking for the money or she's like negotiating the deal. So we could say something, the girl is outspoken and bold, especially for the time period. The girl negotiates the cost of the furniture on behalf of the boy. This is interesting to note because it was not until 1974 that women were given financial protection under the law. Women would not women were not allowed to open bank accounts without permission and other, well, we'll say without some restrictions. So readers can characterize the girl as bold and because her actions were not not typical of the time. There we go. That's kind of a lot, but and that is what we would say for the girl's characterization.